Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man. There are paintings that survive centuries, and then there are paintings that survive in memory alone, paintings whose physical existence was swallowed by history, leaving behind only photographs and an aching sense of loss. Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man is one of those works, and yet even in a black-and-white photograph, it speaks. Let us begin with the man who painted it. Raffaello Sanzio da Urbino, known to the world simply as Raphael, was born in 1483 in the small Italian city of Urbino, a place already steeped in Renaissance culture and humanist thought. His father, Giovanni Santi, was a court painter, which meant Raphael grew up surrounded by art, by patrons, and by the ambition that defined that extraordinary era. He was a prodigy in the truest sense. By the time he was in his 20s, he was producing works of such grace and psychological depth that even his greatest contemporaries, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, could not ignore him. Raphael's career moved in a remarkable arc. He trained in Perugia under Perugino, absorbing the soft, harmonious style of Umbrian painting. Then he went to Florence, where he studied Leonardo's revolutionary approach to light, shadow, and human expression. And finally, in 1508, Pope Julius II summoned him to Rome, where he would spend the rest of his short life painting the Vatican's greatest chambers, the famous Stanze di Raffaello, and producing portraits of extraordinary intimacy and intelligence. He died in Rome in 1520, on his 37th birthday. The entire city mourned. Now, the painting before us. Portrait of a Young Man was painted around 1513 to 1514 during the height of Raphael's Roman period. Even in this monochrome reproduction, the original was lost during World War II, almost certainly looted by Nazi forces from the Czartoryski Museum in Kraków, Poland. You can feel the mastery at work. Look at the subject. He is young, perhaps in his early 20s. He sits in a three-quarter pose, slightly turned, his gaze directed at us with a calm, almost casual self-possession. There is no anxiety here, no performance. He simply looks, and in that look, there is an entire inner world. The long, dark, curling hair falls around his shoulders with almost liquid fluidity. On his head sits a soft beret, a fashionable detail of the period that gives him a particular air of cultivated ease. He wears a richly detailed fur-trimmed cloak over a white linen shirt, and the way Raphael renders the different textures, the rough warmth of the fur, the soft billowing of the linen, the sheen of the fabric beneath, is a quiet demonstration of extraordinary technical skill. Notice the hands. The left hand rests on what appears to be the arm of a chair, the fingers relaxed and naturally positioned. In Renaissance portraiture, hands were deeply meaningful. They communicated a sitter's character, their education, their social standing. Raphael's hands are never stiff or symbolic. They are always alive, always believable. These hands feel as though they could move at any moment. Behind the figure, on the left, there is a neutral gray wall, a typically Raphaelesque device that focuses all attention on the sitter. But on the right, the composition opens dramatically through what appears to be a window or loggia, revealing a luminous landscape, trees, water, a distant horizon. This juxtaposition of interior and exterior, the contained, civilized space of the sitter set against the open world beyond, was a compositional idea Raphael absorbed from Leonardo and made entirely his own. And this is the deeper conversation the painting invites. Who is this young man? His identity remains disputed. Some scholars have suggested he may be a member of the Florentine banking elite. Others propose he could be a young humanist poet or scholar. The Czartoryski family, who owned the painting for nearly 2 centuries, believed it to be a self-portrait of Raphael himself, a theory that remains tantalizing but unproven. What we do know is that Raphael approached portraiture as an act of genuine human encounter. Where many of his contemporaries painted status, Raphael painted personality. The slight asymmetry of the expression, the almost imperceptible suggestion of a thought forming behind the eyes. These are the touches of an artist who was paying close attention to the person sitting before him, not merely recording their social rank. The painting's fate adds another layer of meaning to our experience of it today. The original canvas disappeared during the chaos of the Second World War, almost certainly taken by Nazi forces as part of the systematic looting of European cultural heritage. It has never been recovered. What we are left with are photographs, including this one, taken in the early 20th century, and a great, unresolved absence. To look at this image, then, is to look at a ghost. A very beautiful, very intelligent ghost who lived in Rome 500 years ago and sat for one of the greatest painters who ever lived. Raphael gave us something that outlasted the canvas itself, the sense of a human being, present, alive, looking back at us across the centuries. And in a strange way, the loss of the original makes this encounter more poignant, not less. We are reminded that beauty is fragile, that history is violent, and that art, even when destroyed, leaves an imprint that refuses to disappear entirely. This is what Raphael understood better than almost anyone, that to paint a person well is to give them a kind of immortality. Even the young man we cannot name, in the painting we can no longer see, remains with us still,